Alrighty, welcome back. This video we're going to talk about the window crank. That is from Model Motorcars, and this one is already installed. And we have, where's the other one? Right here. There's the other one. Looks like that. So we're going to talk about how to put those in. And that is connected to the gear that drives the window up and down. Now, in the last video, that was way too long, so I'm going to try to keep this one short. I put those blocks in where I'm going to screw in the side. Well, when I test fitted the window and the door, I could make it fit because you can shove the window forward and it would clear the block. But the problem is it doesn't clear the other half of the door that goes over top of that because there's structure inside there, so that has to be pulled back this way. So I had to cut that block out to allow the window to go down. And it does not go all the way down. That's as far down as it goes. Even if I cut that all the way off, it just wouldn't really go any further than that. That's as far down as it goes. Which I think is not a bad thing, because if the little crank here broke and that was stuck all the way down, you wouldn't be able to grab it and pull it up. So at least the way it is, you can grab it and pull it up. And it's just the way the Pocher model is. But anyway, so as you can see, I cut into the glass here, and I cut my mounting block here. That will allow it to come all the way down and back up. And it's a little bit tight, so you could crank it by the crank, but I would not recommend that. Because, and I'm helping it on the back with my fingers back here, because it's just a little bit bindy enough that I really don't trust that thing to not break. If you tried to crank it without helping it, I guess there I kind of am. But sometimes it just gets a little bit bound, even when it's not on the other door half. But that's not a bad thing, because if it was completely loose, it wouldn't stay up. It would just fall down. So a little bit of stiffness is good, so that when it's rolled up, it stays in place instead of falling down on its own weight. So it works about as good as you can expect a Pocher model to work. Just a few things to point out, as you can see that I did here. Obviously, the shaft of the crank goes to the gear. I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. Where those gears go on, if we take a look at the other panel, first off, where the post comes out here, you got to cut that flush with the leather, and I just painted it black so you wouldn't see any red with the handle on. But with the gears on here, you use a soldering iron and a piece of aluminum foil over the post just to kind of mush and squish that down so those can't come off. So those are locked on. And on the window, I put the window in the frame, and I used the UV curable glue. So I get these 5-second fix. Yeah, that 5 seconds is a stretch. You need more than 5 seconds. But they come with a little UV light, which I got like 3 or 4 of these, and all the batteries are dead. So I use this UV curable resin to glue the window panel to the frame, and then to cure it, I've got a, don't laugh, but this is for curing nail polish, UV curable nail polish. I put the tape on it so it'll work even without your hand in it, because there's like a little sensor here, so it'll only come on if your hand is in it. Depending on the size of the shape of the part that I put in here, it doesn't always see that, so I just put tape on it so it's on all the time. But you plug it in, and you got 90 seconds, or 30, 60, or 90 seconds. So basically what I do is I glue the panel on, I put that on it, click it on for 90 seconds, and then after it shuts off, I do another 90 seconds, then another 90 seconds, because that glue still feels a little bit sticky. Even after 90 seconds, it still feels a little bit sticky. So I'll go 90 seconds like several times until it's finally locked on. But this thing works a whole lot better than just holding that light on it the entire time. So, because you can just turn it on and go do other stuff while it's running. I do need to do something about the color, though. I'm thinking maybe I'll just cover that in carbon fiber or flat black, or I don't know. Maybe I should just rock the pink. But anyways, it works pretty well. So that's what I'm using for that. Now they do make CA glue for clear parts. Normally CA will fog the clear parts. That's why I did not use CA. And the UV curable glue bonds to plastic and to metal very well. At least in my experience it does. But they do make CA that's meant for clear parts, so it won't fog it. I just don't have any of that. Now, with this panel, with the window, when you put that on, when you start moving that down, the distance between those two pegs, when this is horizontal, the distance between those two pegs is longer than the length of the slots. So as it is from the kit, if you start with the window down, it would only come up about that high, and that's all it would do. So you have to lengthen those slots a little bit so that it'll go all the way up and all the way down. But not only that, but that peg here hits the structure on the inside of the door that's meant for the door latch mechanism. So that's why when you look at this one, I've got that smushed down flat. So what I did was I cut some plastic washers and just bonded that to the peg. Now that peg you can leave long, but that peg I had to cut it short and smush it down flat and sand it down as flat as I could get it so that it would clear the structure that's used for the door latch. Otherwise, it would come up about that high, and that's it. That's all it would do. So if you just build it from the kit, you can only roll the window up like halfway, and that's about it. So you have to do a little bit of modification here. Now the other side of the doors, those are being painted right now. Well, they've been painted. I'm waiting for the paint to dry. And I went ahead and painted them now because when we do the door handle, it's got to be painted before you put the door handle on. And the door handle is going to be the next step, so the door's got to be painted. So now we're just focusing on the window. And so you can see here basically how it goes. Again, there is enough there for a screw to go in, but I did have to cut that back so that it could go down all the way. So all we got to do now is connect the crank to the gear. So we need the gear, and we can just put that into the hole here. Maybe. There we go. The leather's in the way. I got to trim some of that leather back. I'm just going to do this off camera real quick. Okay, so I got that trimmed back, so now we can put the gear in like that. And what we need to do now is cut that just a little bit taller than what the boss coming out. So we just need to trim that a little bit taller. Now the kit does have 2 extra gears, so if you mess one up, you got 2 extras. Hopefully that'll work right there. And I'm going to sand that a little bit flat. Okay, so now what we need to do is drill a hole through that. Let's get our crank out. The kit comes with the crank, a little collar, and a little tiny nut. And I'm not sure what the nut is for because when you look at the instructions on their website, they don't tell you to use a nut. There's 2 here because there's one left over from the other crank. I'm just going to put them somewhere where I don't lose them just in case, but as far as I know, you don't need them because again, the instructions do not call for them. I'm going to put that little collar on the threaded shaft there. Now on the other one I did, it did not go on all the way. And this one is not either. I don't know if there's some leftover solder on the shaft, but what I had to do on the other one was I had to go in with my Dremel tool and grind away a little bit here and here. You can see there's some I'm assuming it's just solder from when I assembled this, but I have to clean that up so that little collar can go on all the way. But that is a threaded shaft, but it's chrome plated, so the threads are almost worthless. And basically you drill a hole through there and smaller than the threads, and you screw that in, you thread that in, and it actually works. It sounds hard, and it's a little bit tedious, and you need some optical help, at least I do. So I forget what size drill bit I used. So that shaft is 1.14 millimeter, 1.07. It is chrome plated, so it's going to be a little, not consistent all the way around, but we'll call that 1 millimeter. So I need a drill bit that's a little bit less than that. That's 0.78, 0.97, 0.78. I think I'll try that one, and then if I need to, I'll go up to this one, and hopefully that's just tight enough it'll thread in okay. And I'm going to use this little pin vise. Actually, I'm going to move this out of the way before I do something stupid. So I'll put the little drill bit in here. Yeah, this is going to... And actually, the way I did this the first time was I stood that up on the table this way, and I just came in straight down with the drill, and I know my hand's in the way, but that's basically what I did. And that drill bit is not very sharp. Let me just move up to the bigger one here, because I actually think the bigger one is the one I used ultimately on the other one. It was a few days ago, so I don't remember exactly. All right, if you got a sharp drill bit, that doesn't take too long. Now, do not use a Dremel tool. It's not perfectly on center, but it's about as good as I think I can do. It's about as good as the other one. But there it is. Again, do not use a Dremel tool, because that will just melt the plastic as you're going through, and it'll just melt the entire shaft. So use a little pin vise like this. Now, I also, on the other one, I ran a little tap through it, and I don't know if that helped or not, but I don't think it hurt. But I've just got a little tap. Man, I forget the size. I'm not even positive it's the right thread, but it is it's a 1.2 mil. Again, I don't even know if it's the right thread, but it's pretty close. But I'm just going to come in here and thread the hole. Since the threads on the crank are chrome plated, I'm assuming they're not going to want to cut into the plastic very well. So I think running the tap through here is going to help, maybe. But I honestly can't even tell if that's cutting threads or just reaming the plastic out more. I think it just started poking through. There it is. Just started coming through. And after having done that, I'm really not looking forward to doing the door cranks, because you have to do the same thing with this. You have to drill through that and thread that, and that's metal. It's a pretty soft metal, but still, it's harder than the plastic, and that plastic was hard enough. I think what I might actually do when it comes time to do that, I might have a collet chuck I can put in my lathe, and maybe I can do that on my lathe, maybe, I hope, because otherwise that's going to be a real pain to get that. So anyways, let me file the shoulder on that a little bit so that collar will go on, and then we'll put this together. Okay, so that's on better. So we're ready to do this. We'll take this, put the gear in it, and then we just start threading that crank into it. Now on the other one, the threads were tight enough that you could turn the window up or down and not worry about it unthreading, because my first thought was I was going to have to put some CA or something on it, which I really didn't want to do, because if the CA started to set before you got it threaded all the way down, that would kind of suck. And I'm just noticing, I'm seeing some red on that shaft, and that's sticking out a little bit too far. I'm going to cut my shaft a little bit shorter. So I'm going to take this back out. Okay, so that's, can't even see it, that shaft is shorter, and I made it black so that you wouldn't see any red. So we'll go ahead and start threading this thing back on here. And I am a little nervous about breaking that, to be completely honest with you. Okay, that wasn't as tight as the other one. See, it is working here. I mean, it looks nice. It's working. Now, there is a little bit of thread sticking out from that gear. We need to trim that off. And there's still just a little bit, I can feel a little bit of a sharp burr here. I don't want to take any chance of that scratching the glass. I don't think it will, because it's lower than the surface of the leather. I'm going to very slowly and very carefully just touch that with the Dremel tool, just to take the sharp edge off, so that if it touches the glass, hopefully it won't scratch it. All right, I think that's good. All right, so, wrong way. So what I'm going to have to do, so as you can see here, that works now. But what I'm going to have to do is cut that off right about there, and cut that glass right about like that. And then put a little plastic washer here and a little plastic washer here, smush that one down, basically make it look like that one, which is easy to do, just time consuming. So I think you guys get the idea. So again, the window cranks from Model Motorcars, if you want to upgrade, they definitely do look a lot nicer, but they're a little tedious to do. So anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Next video, we'll be doing the door latches. Probably, I still need to drill the hole for this one. As you can see, I got the hole in there for that one, for that door handle. I still need to do this one. But anyways, So next video, the paint on the doors will be done. I don't know if I ever showed you this or not, but here's the hood. It's a little bit dusty because it's been sitting there untouched for a while. There's the hood, and that needs to be polished. That's just right out of the clear. So it's been cleared. It's got about 3 or 4 nice coats of clear. So that just needs to be polished and buffed. It actually looks pretty good as is, but it'll be polished and buffed. So next video, the doors will also look like that. And then we can assemble the door halves together with the door handles and the door latches. And yeah, so that'll be next video. So until then, as always, thanks for watching.